mayors are working hard to protect residents from bad governance and mismanagement by getting the basics right, delivering better services and having zero tolerance for corruption. This is the DA difference. The next broadcast will start shortly. Follow us on social media for the latest in news and politics in South Africa. Like and follow our page on Facebook. Follow us on TikTok, Instagram and X. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit that notification bell so that you don't miss out on anything. Be part of the conversation. Tell us what you think in the comment section. And please, like and share our videos with your friends and family. The next broadcast will start shortly. If you care about South Africa and want to make a positive difference, then join the DA. Visit our website at da.org.za for more information. Find out who represents you in your ward and district. Who are the DA mayors working for you in your town or city, and which MPs represent you and your causes in Parliament. On our website, you can learn more about our latest campaigns and how you can get involved. Join the Democratic Alliance to rescue South Africa. Become an activist, become a councillor, become a member of Parliament if you care about South Africa. Please visit donate.da.org.za. Donate to a cause you believe in. Donate to make a difference. Welcome to a broadcast of the Democratic Alliance. Did you know the Democratic Alliance is the stable anchor of the Government of National Unity? DA ministers and DA deputy ministers are getting things done with a special focus on job creation and economic growth, driving down the cost of living and placing the needs of the people first. Join the mission to rescue South Africa. The next broadcast will start shortly. Did you know the best run municipalities in South Africa are all governed by the DA? DA mayors are working hard to protect residents from bad governance and mismanagement by getting the basics right, delivering better services and having zero tolerance for corruption. This is the DA difference. The next broadcast will start shortly. Follow us on social media for the latest in news and politics in South Africa. Like and follow our page on Facebook. Follow us on TikTok, Instagram and X. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit that notification bell so that you don't miss out on anything. Be part of the conversation. Tell us what you think in the comment section. And please, like and share our videos with your friends and family. The next broadcast will start shortly. If you care about South Africa and want to make a positive difference, then join the DA. Visit our website at da.org.za for more information. Find out who represents you in your ward and district. Who are the DA mayors working for you in your town or city, and which MPs represent you and your causes in Parliament. On our website, you can learn more about our latest campaigns and how you can get involved. Join the Democratic Alliance to rescue South Africa. Become an activist, become a councillor, become a member of Parliament if you care about South Africa. Please visit donate.da.org.za. Donate to a cause you believe in. Donate to make a difference. Let's rescue South Africa. Join the DA, because the DA gets things done.
Hello, South South Africa. My name is Nazli Sharif, and today we are coming to you live from Gugulethu, where the Democratic Alliance is taking a stand and marching against gender-based violence and femicide. Today is Women's Day, and even though we have a lot to celebrate, we still have a very long way to go to ensure that women and children have justice, have safety, and have dignity. We are a country in crisis. We are at the edge of literal life and death. The amount of sheer violence that women and children face is horrific. We currently sit with a situation where our police can't be trusted. We have a DNA backlog that is denying justice. And we have lack of capacity, lack of resources, and frankly, lack of political will to make any real, meaningful change to ensure that women and children are safe. Please make sure you like and share this broadcast with everybody you know. Let us know what you're thinking down in the comment section below. And let's keep this conversation going long after this march is over. Let's keep talking about it. Let's keep putting pressure on those that can make a difference. They simply only use GBVF as a buzzword. And today we are saying enough is enough. So let's continue the fight. We have a jam-packed program coming your way. We will be speaking to leaders who are making a real difference in our communities. So make sure you don't go anywhere.
Thank you.
There's Anu Murray. I saw her here a moment ago. Anu, there she is at the back. So Anu, thank you to the provincial government, because Alan Winde and the provincial government in this province invested in 1,300 LEAP officers. And when you hear those stats about the times we've intervened to help a woman
Welcome back to this very important broadcast where the Democratic Alliance is taking a stand against gender-based violence and femicide and the inequalities that continue to face women within our communities. I am now joined by two leaders within the Western Cape that wake up every morning to try and make a difference in our country and in the province. I am joined by Community Safety and Police Oversight Minister Andrew Murray, as well as the Western Cape leader, Mr. Tertius Simmers. Welcome to the broadcast. Andrew, I'm going to start with you. Today is Women's Day. Tell us what it means to you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Andrew Murray, as you've heard. You know what, women, I want to say to all the women in South Africa, embrace yourself, be you. You're the most wonderful people that we can have to help us make our community safer. And today we're here more for GBV, gender-based violence. As we know, gender-based violence is a criminal act. It is not culture, it is not tradition, it is criminal. And that's why we're here to look at that and speak about the DNA backlog and see how we can remedy all these ills that hinder our women in getting justice.
Absolutely. Tertius, what does Women's Day mean to you?
Well, firstly, congratulations and happy Women's Day to all the women of South Africa about being born from a woman, being led by a woman. I have a high regard and respect for women, but more so on Women's Day because of the challenges they still face, but it's how we can partner and work together, not only with women, but with entire communities to make communities safer for our women, not just for today, but every day moving forward. And our women play a massive role because they are there on the streets in terms of your CPFs, with your neighborhood watches. I've been blessed to work with them, aside them and with them, and we have seen really the impact that dedicated women have on building a safer community and society.
Absolutely. Andrew, women are the backbone of our society. It is women that literally birth a nation. And you work in policing and community safety oversight. Can you tell us some of the work you do to protect women?
Yeah, what we're doing, we work very closely with DSD, that's our Social Development Department. They do have ambassadors this what we call our GBV ambassadors. They all part of the neighborhood watches, the community in blue, and they help us to identify some problems in our areas. If there's a crisis, they can assist the women, and that's very important for us. We cannot have a policeman in every home, and a perpetrator is usually somebody that you know. The woman knows that person, and that is what's make it very difficult. So these ambassadors help us, and what's more important, that if you file a complaint on a Sunday evening, our woman tends to withdraw on a Monday, and we understand it. It's economical development. It is because there's no housing. Our women are really, really suffering. So, and I want us to know that you do have the support of our department as well as our GBV ambassadors, specifically if you go to court to fill in the forms, to get the right advice, and just get the perpetrator to account for his deeds.
I couldn't agree with you more, Andrew. Tertius, often you work in infrastructure, and oftentimes people don't understand the link between infrastructure and safety. Can you take us through that?
Well, indeed, in terms of my portfolio, we do work well with the Department of Social Development, Community Safety and Police Oversight, and all other aspects, because infrastructure unites a community, it forms a new community. But more importantly, in our design in the Western Cape, through our infrastructure investment, we focus on aspects of safety to make our communities safer. But also that as we integrate these various communities together, we are aware that infrastructure also creates the future, and that future must be built on a safe foundation, and hence we work with all our partners. At the moment we are working with the Department of Social Development of the Western Cape in all of our projects and all of our programs across the Western Cape to roll out safe houses, and also introduce through their various partners to create safe spaces in our infrastructure projects across the Western Cape.
Yeah, absolutely. Creating safe spaces, I think, is one of the most important things that we can do. Andrew, do you want to speak a little bit on the safe spaces?
Yeah, it's very important for us to have our safe spaces. Like our cameras and lighting must work. Also, as Tertius said, our leader said about infrastructure, we must have a safe infrastructure, and that is also potholes that you can can move more frequently, more easily. But for me, it is we must look out for each other. We must stand together. As I've said, specifically GBV is sometimes it's more in-house. We cannot police in-house, so that is why it's important that we must embrace each other, especially our women, for the safety of our communities and of yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. We will be hearing a little bit more from Andrew and Tertius. But before I let you go, do you have a final message for everybody watching at home?
Well, as much as we are celebrating Women's, I actually want to leave a message for all of our men, and I want to thank all the men who have come out across all the programs across the Western Cape. Because at the end of the day, GBV is not just a female issue. It's a societal issue, and our men must lift their voices and stand with our women to build safer communities on this Women's Day and moving forward.
Yeah. Andrew, your final message for everybody watching at home?
I just want to say I agree with Tertius. It's all about men and respect for each other, men and women. And I want to ask our women, believe in yourself. You just wonderful and you're amazing.
Yeah, you absolutely are. Thank you so much, Andrew and Tertius, for joining us on this broadcast. Like I said, we have some amazing leaders we are still yet to interview, so make sure you don't go anywhere.
She just could not have children. Even his family joined in the cruelty. And when she turned to the police, this is South African Police Service, they laughed at her. They flirted with her. They asked her if they can just give her a ride in the police car so that they can just, chat to her. This is a woman who is coming to report a situation that she had dealt with for years since she was married.
Welcome back to the Democratic Alliance March Against Gender-Based Violence and Femicide. We are here in Gugulethu today, and I am joined by the Minister of Basic Education, Siviwe Gwagube. Hello, Minister, and welcome to the broadcast. Today is Women's Day, and we have a lot to celebrate, but we also have a lot of work to do. What does today mean to you?
Absolutely. A very good morning to everybody who's joining us at home, and we really want to say thank you for staying with us. Yes, we have a lot, Naz, to celebrate, but and we also have to really commemorate the women of 56 who 69 years ago stood up for a particular injustice. But right now, we too are standing up for a specific injustice, and that injustice is the safety of women. The fact that there are women in our communities here in Gugulethu, in Nyanga, in Mitchell's Plain, people are not feeling safe. And so ours really today is to, one, commemorate, as I said, the work that was done by the women of 56, but to say that this is our current struggle. Our current struggle is that we are not safe. But even when women do report cases of GBV at the police station, the DNA backlog is sitting at 140,000. That means that those 140,000 cases that could have been resolved, those 140,000 cases that could have brought dignity and justice to those people who have been violated. And so really the acting Minister of Police, as he steps into his role, this needs to be a priority for him.
I couldn't agree more with you, Siviwe. Something has to happen because we are at the edge of literal life and death. You spoke about Gugulethu, Nyanga, Mitchell's Plain, Kailicha. Why are we specifically here in Gugulethu today?
We're here because, you know, the reality is that this remains one of the most unsafe communities. Of course, the city of Cape Town has done quite a lot. The city of Cape Town, with the provincial government, has done a lot to make sure that there are at least 1,300 LEAP officers who've been deployed in these high-risk areas. But still, we require SAPS to come to the party. We require SAPS to make sure that when people do go to police stations, that they're not ignored. When people do go to police stations, that their cases and they're taken to safe areas, and that their DNA evidence is not lost or mishandled, so that there can be prosecutions. Nazli, it's one thing for people to be arrested, but if people are not prosecuted, that becomes a problem. There are people and women and children in this community who walk and live alongside their perpetrators. It cannot be that there are people you are sitting here with your perpetrator in the same community because they have not been prosecuted, because the docket has gone missing. That's the crisis we are highlighting, because that is something that can be solved with the fixing of the justice system, so that dockets don't go missing, so that women can be able to get the justice they need. Also, it's important to send a strong message that says criminals have nowhere to hide in our country, that they should not be violating our women.
Absolutely. Siviwe, let's talk a little bit about your role in basic education. You've been in the GNU now for a year. Can you tell us some of the work you're doing in schools to make sure that our kids are safe?
Absolutely. And I mean, our children remain one of the most vulnerable members of our society. And so even in the Department of Basic Education, there's a lot of work that we need to do. Number one, we've signed an MOU with the South African Police Service so that we can have visible policing in our schools, so that children can be able to be, we don't see criminal elements in our schools, so that SAPS can come in and do searches and seizures, so that we can make sure that those children who wanting to be criminals are removed from our schools. We're also working very much with the Department of Justice to make sure that those who come in contact with our children in our schools, they are vetted against the Child Protection Register, against the Sexual Offenders Register. We're also making sure that provinces are using their money to make sure that there's scholar transport in our schools, because it also cannot be that children are still walking in unsafe areas just to try and get to school. Provinces must spend their money, and they must spend it well, and that children must be able to get scholar transport in so that they can be safe in going to school. You can't be violated as you're trying to get an education.
100% Siviwe, and oftentimes we see that children find themselves in very vulnerable positions, from inside their homes to traveling to school, to getting back to school. So can you tell us a little bit more about the whole of society approach that you're taking in your department?
So even with the MOU we've signed with the SAPs, we've made it quite clear that we cannot win this war alone. We need parents, we need SGBs, we need communities to be able to say we will not allow a scenario where our children are abused, because there's only so much government can do. But if communities don't join us in the fight, then we're not going to win this fight. And also we're saying that we should expand. For instance, one of the things that we are proactively doing is expanding psychosocial support to children who have been violated. Because of course, children must, even though this horrific and heinous act has happened to them, they need to still be supported psychologically. And so we are offering those things, but we can't do this alone. We need you to call out problematic behavior. We need you to make sure that when you see violence, you say something, you report it. And on our end, we're going to put pressure on the police minister to make sure that these cases are dealt with.
So important. We have to stand up for each other, and we have to be there for each other, and we have to protect each other. Siviwe, sometimes it's very difficult to look at hope and to feel hopeful for our country. But if you have one message of hope you can leave with our viewers, what would it be?
I want to assure the people at home that this issue around safety and safety of women and children is not an issue that we are going to leave behind. We are going to continuously raise the matter, but also we're going to use. People trusted us on the 29th of May, and they lent us their vote. And so we're going to say to you that we are going to continue fighting for you. Even in the corridors of power, we will not leave your issues behind.
Yeah. Siviwe, I for one don't believe GBV is a political issue, and we will continue to hold everybody account, including those in the GNU. Thank you so much, Minister Siviwe Gugulethu, for joining our broadcast. Again, I'll keep telling you this, we have incredible people that we will be hearing from. I see that the march is about to start, so keep liking, keep sharing, keep commenting your thoughts, your experiences, anything you want to tell us down in the comment section below. We will be right back.
When we march.
When we're walking and interviewing Mama.
For now,
Hello, darling.
So we can see that everybody is getting ready to do this very, very important march. We are not only marching to say that we need difference, we are here to take a stand to make sure that things actually change in the lives of our women and of our children. We cannot continue to allow gender-based violence and femicide to simply be buzzwords. Today we are in Gugulethu to ensure and to make a stand that our voices are heard and that we will never be silenced. It is so incredible to see all the women out here today, women from different walks of life, women of different ages, all coming together and standing together to say enough is enough. We are out here today in Gugulethu to join voices and join hands as we continue this fight against gender-based violence and femicide. There is a lot of people here. Everybody is ready. We are excited to be marching to the police station so that our voices can be heard. Today is Women's Day, and although we have so much that we can celebrate, we must always remember that we have to commemorate the women that have come before us. We remember the women of 1956, and we remember the struggles that they fought so that we can have our freedom today. But the truth of the matter is, South Africa, are we really free when women is so unsafe in communities? Are we really free that it's a risk to your life to simply go and buy bread at the spaza shop? It is a risk to your life when you take your child to school. It is a risk to the children's lives on their way to school. We cannot say that we are free. We cannot say that we are free if people are not safe within our country, if people don't have justice, and if people don't have dignity. This is very, very important to ensure that every single woman and child is safe. We have just come from an absolutely devastating week within our country, and we have seen the murder of innocent children and babies just this week in Johannesburg, in El Dorado Park. And we send our condolences to the family and the community of El Dorado Park as we continue the march for justice, for safety, and for dignity. The march has started. We are now walking through the streets of Gugulethu, and the message is clear. The message has never been clearer. We are a country in crisis, and something needs to change. We have to work harder. We have to do better, not only for us, but for the generations that come after us. Today, we are out here in Gugulethu. We are saying to the community, join us. Let's join hands. Let's come together and let's do collective action to fight against gender-based violence, femicide, and inequality. It is 2025 and we have been fighting against violence towards women and children for so long. It almost feels like we are being unheard. But looking at the march today and looking at all the women that have come out today, we are seeing that we do so much more if we are united and if we join together. Like I said earlier, we have a diverse group of women and men here today. And it's so important that we ensure that men and women come together to make a difference. It is the GBVF is not only a woman issue. It is a societal issue. It is an issue for every single person in this country. And it is up to all of us to ensure that we work together and we fight against gender-based violence and femicide and the continuous inequalities that so many of us continue to face every single day of our lives. We are out here in Gugulethu to say enough is enough. Enough is enough. Genoeg is genoeg. Joining me now is the DA spokesperson for social development, Ma'am Bridget Masango. Ma'am Bridget, welcome to the broadcast. Please, today's Women's Day. Can you tell us what this day means to you?
This day to me, I was saying to Karabo when we were on the track that I'm getting more emotional when I see a sea of women who have come here today, because there's hope always. As we women are hopeful people, there's hope that if I go to the next gathering, I might come back with answers to the issues that are troubling me and my family. So this day for me means the resilience of women. It means the women that have got such broad shoulders to carry things in silence, in prayer, and in small gatherings where they say, do you have an answer for me? I am facing this situation, and they will never go out to say anything until they can no longer hold it within them. So for me, it's speaking of resilience. It's speaking of courage for the women of this country in the midst of such an epidemic that they are facing in gender-based violence.
Absolutely, Ma'am Bridget. The Democratic Alliance has been speaking about gender-based violence and femicide for a very long time, but we haven't seen any real change in this country. You speak about the resilience of women, but how long can women be resilient for, Mambi?
The thing is, they can't. This is why I also said we cannot continue speaking any longer, because we are losing women. Literally on a daily basis, we lose a number of women to gender-based violence. We cannot abuse that resilience by keeping quiet. We need to make sure that we're in every space that we are in. We call and we make sure that action happens for women to receive the services that they need, especially to prevent, not to react when the damage is done, but to prevent it. This is why we are calling as the Democratic Alliance for economic growth, because when women are economically independent, they make better decisions, whether to stay or leave relationships. We need women in spaces where they are to be heard when they speak out about the situations they are facing. They don't need to be judged. We are saying as the Democratic Alliance, let the economy be open for women. Let the economy be in such a way that women can earn enough to live their lives and the lives of their children without depending on the perpetrators of gender-based violence.
Absolutely, Mambi. And even though there's a lot of work to be done, we also have to commemorate all the women who has come before us, and women like yourself, Mambi, who continue to wake up every morning to fight for our rights. Now, I know that the Daily Maverick did a special on you, from barefoot schoolgirl to parliamentarian. Can you tell us a little bit about your journey?
You know, I can't be thankful enough to God Himself and to people who helped me, because I was number 6 of 9 children, and I cannot tell you why, but when things got really rough at home and there was no money to go to school, I just went to school, no shoes, but because my mother was behind me to say, I cannot, there's nothing I can do, but if you want to go, go. I will try to do whatever I can. And I went to school, walking no less than 34 kilometers to school. Yes, and going to school, coming back, and then it went on for years until I had the help of a now late teacher who paid for my schooling in high school, and then as they say, the rest is history. And so for me, it was an experience that to this day I can't explain what it is that caused that. But I always had that drive to say there must be something at the end of this. And also I was seeing, like you are talking about the women of 1956, when we were learning history, those women were not there in the history that we learned. But I later realized that there were people on whose shoulders I was standing, and that my mother, my aunts in the community, my uncles, my brothers that were helping are the people that created that drive within me to say, one day something will change in my life.
Absolutely. And the amount of change you bring is amazing, and we thank you for your service. Thank you so much, Ma'am Bridget, for joining us today. That was Ma'am Bridget Masango, the DA spokesperson for social development. When we come back, we will be having even more interviews with more leaders who are making a real change. Make sure you don't go anywhere.
Mama ilwa suku mushukunya
As you can see, the march is steadily progressing from the starting point up until the police station. You can see the amount of women that has come out today, not only to support the Democratic Alliance, but also to share in the pain, share in the trauma that so many of us women who live in South Africa face on a daily basis. Today, the Democratic Alliance is calling for justice, for safety, and for dignity. For all of us, not some of the political elite, not some who carry specific political party memberships. No, we are out here in Gugulethu marching for every single woman, every single baby girl, every single child in our country that consistently, every single day, is faced with unimaginable violence, unimaginable trauma, and unimaginable pain. We are in 2025 and nothing feels like it is changing. But I want everybody to remember, there are people in government, there are leaders who wake up every single day to make sure that they bring change in people's lives. And even though sometimes it feels like politics is failing you, I want you to remember that the Constitution starts by saying, we the people shall govern. And it is we the people who have to raise our voices against gender-based violence and femicide. It is we the people that have to consistently ensure that we are fighting for safety, for justice, and for dignity. As we continue to make our way to the police station, please make sure that you don't go anywhere. We will be having a chat to JP Smith as soon as we come back from this break. So make sure you don't go anywhere.
Walking and talking is already a challenge.
Welcome back. I have with me JP Smith, the MACO member for Policing and Community Safety. JP, today is Women's Day. What does it mean to you?
Well, it means that we're doing this to remind people of how dire the situation is. Everybody will be aware of the crisis around gang violence. We're aware of that because it plays out in our streets. There are people running, young men running with guns in the streets. The entire community is in upheaval. But possibly as many murders are happening as a consequence of unchecked domestic violence, where a situation brewed over time, a man or a boyfriend, a husband, maybe even a son started exhibiting abusive behavior, and that behavior went unchecked early and ended up in a murder. So there is one area where the police can do meaningful murder prevention, and that's checking in and making sure you give effective implementation to our very good Domestic Violence Act. That on paper is great, but in practice is not given the implementation, and a lot of that has got to do with a massive under-resourcing of the police in South Africa. We have around between a half and a third of the police on the ground that we need. And the net consequence of that is that just from where I sit in the city, I can see we've gone from 2,000 complaints a year on domestic violence to 3 to 4, and in the last 100 days alone, the Metro Police have responded to over 3,000 complaints. Now that's 35 complaints a day. So out there, women have realized that the city will help, that we're available to help. that we care about this problem, and if they call our emergency call center number, not only will we answer in the first 10 seconds, but we will send somebody to help. So in the last year, Metro Police have done 809 interventions, 112 arrests, 170 domestic violence cases open, and we're stepping up on 1 September to do even more, with 5 officers award in every ward of the city being rolled out, and that is going to help a lot to ensure that when you make that phone call as a woman, in that moment of extreme need, that we are there to help, that we are responsive, and that there's a Metro Police officer responding to that crisis and coming to help.
Yeah, you know, JP, what you speak about is so interesting, because we know that National Police Service has failed us. It has failed women and it has failed communities. But here in Cape Town, you're trying to assist the problem as much as you can with LEAP officers. Can you tell us a little bit more about how the LEAP officer program assists communities?
Absolutely. So while national government has failed to invest in the police, and I was just now in Manenberg before this with the project, with their Silence the Guns project, whilst they have left these police stations with far too few staff to respond. In the city of Cape Town, we're lucky. Our provincial government invested in 1,300 law enforcement officers to help us. In our worst crime hotspots in the city, we have these extra LEAP members. And they're also intervening in the domestic violence complaints. And now with the extra Metro Police, 750 extra officers getting into joining us on 9 September, that's going to make a further investment. So where the DA governed, we are stepping up to fill that gap that national government has left.
So important. It's very unfortunate that you have to fill a gap that should already be filled. Now, JP, you spoke about violence within communities, and a lot of the social issues deal with mental health. Is your department looking at assisting to make sure that our societies are healed with trauma?
Absolutely. So while we have trained these new Metro Police officers very intensively to make sure that they understand the Domestic Violence Act, and the statistics show you that they are understanding what they need to do and are playing their part when they are called upon to step up. We're also working with communities. So our Metro Police has a social crime prevention unit that is going out and talking at schools about the choices that you make, about a young man's role and his family as a protector, about the choices around drugs, firearms, and peer pressure and gangs. All these things impact and create a culture where violence against vulnerable people is tolerated. And we're working to reverse that in all these cases. That includes the extraordinary people who join our law enforcement reservist service. We have just in Manenberg now, we had a whole number of our reservists who were there, amazing people, here from Gugulethu, from Manenberg, who are working as law enforcement reservists. Cape Town is still the only city in South Africa that has a reserve police service.
Yeah, that's incredible, JP, and the work that you guys are doing here in Cape Town seems to be really, really incredible, to really make a difference in people's lives. Now, JP, we saw a case, I'm not sure if you saw it, in Johannesburg, where a 4-year-old little girl was murdered and the community didn't say anything. Instead, they recorded the incident. What would you say to communities out there to be brave and report crime?
Well, if you want communities to trust that you are going to do something with information, you must not expose them. So this is the first problem, that within the police, very often communities don't trust to give that information. And so one of the things we are doing very meticulously in Cape Town is making sure that our officers do not expose informants. We take serious action against anybody who exposes an informant, and we take complaints seriously. We deal with those complaints, and we make sure that there's action on those tip-offs. And over time, that begets a culture where people will give us information all the time.
Absolutely.
That's critical. But equally big, the problem, whether it be gun violence or domestic violence, is the complete overload of detectives. So in this province, we know that we're 35% short on the number of detectives we need. And as a consequence of that, those detectives are so overloaded that they cannot do justice to these investigations. And until national government steps up, Minister of Police steps up and fixes that, women and communities are going to carry on suffering.
JP, I don't want to keep you for too long, but I'm really enjoying this conversation. I wanted to please ask you, we have an interim police police minister coming in. What is your message for him and what do you hope he does?
Okay, Minister, we want to work with you. We signed a cooperation agreement a year ago. It's a year later now. That cooperation agreement is still not translated into the so-called implementation agreement. We're still not done with that. We have pleaded repeatedly for progress. Mayor Jordan Lewis wrote to the new minister, the acting minister, and asked for a meeting. So we want to meet with you soon so we can get to the point where Metro Police has those additional powers of investigation and crime intelligence so we can do the work that needs to be done where SAPS does no longer have the ability.
Yeah, absolutely. Before I let you go, JP, what is your message to all the women and everybody watching the broadcast right now?
We care. This party, the DA cares, our city of Cape Town cares, our provincial government in the Western Cape cares, and we want to help. And we're not just saying that, it's not empty words. We have put our money where our mouth is. We've added value to it. We've stepped up, whether it's through the LEAP officers or through the extra Metro Police officers that are coming in September. We're creating that capacity. Use our call center number if you live in Cape Town. Call the 021-480-7700. There will be a response and we want to help.
JP, can you give us that number one more time?
021-480-7700.
And it just started raining here in Gugulethu. Thank you so much, JP, for joining our broadcast today and for the valuable information that you gave us. We have arrived at the police station here in Gugulethu. So we have a jam-packed program coming up. We have a stage program coming up where we will be hearing from leaders. So make sure you share this broadcast. Let's keep the conversation going and make sure you don't go anywhere. Welcome back. I am now joined by Minister Gugulethu, who is the Minister of Social Development here in the Western Cape. Minister Lont, we know that we are out here in Gugulethu today on Women's Day. Tell us, what does Women's Day mean to you and why is it important that we are here today?
I mean, whenever we move around this province, we see women stepping up and doing such tremendous work in their communities, whether it is supporting survivors of gender-based violence, whether it is working with children with disabilities, whether it's with the elderly. Women are the bedrock of our province and they do so much more. So my thanks to all the women, not just in the Western Cape, but in South Africa. You are seen, you are appreciated, you are valued. Thank you for what you are doing. As a government, we cannot do it alone. And the fact that you are taking our hands as a government means so much so that we can look after the most vulnerable. And then if I may, to the men out there, please make sure that you honor the women in your lives, that you treat them with respect, and that we set the example for our children, because they see how we act. We might not say it, but they watch us and they learn our behavior. So please make sure that we step up, we improve our behavior so that we can start changing the scourge of gender-based violence that we have in our country.
Yaku, you know, the Democratic Alliance has been speaking about the crisis of gender-based violence and femicide within our country for a very long time, but it feels like nothing is changing. Can you tell us some of the work you're doing in your department to change the status quo?
Yeah, when I speak about women stepping up, men stepping up, yesterday we launched the 12th Gender-Based Violence Ambassador Program in the Western Cape. These are amazing men and women that help in the communities to create awareness of what resources we've got, what support we've got as government. We partner with SAPS, with the NPA, because we first need to make sure that women have the faith and the confidence to report the cases. These ambassadors, they provide that first shoulder to cry on, that first safe space space. And we now have almost 500 in the Western Cape already, and we're rolling it out more and more. And that is when we talk about whole of government, whole of society, and we celebrate those men and women. And next month we're doing another one in Atlantis. So this is being rolled out. That's one of many of the programs that we are rolling out.
Jaco, I think that's an incredible initiative, and I'd like to speak a little bit more about it. Can you tell us what type of training these ambassadors get, what type of expertise do they have, and what exactly do you envision the outcomes of these ambassadors to be?
So firstly, the training is done by the Department of Social Development, social workers, so that they prepare them, firstly on what is the correct routes to follow, but then also how to deal with the trauma, because they're going to be exposed to trauma, and they need to have an outlet on once they've given that support to the victims, and that's where our social workers step in. And then what would I like to see? I firstly would like to see that we have an uptick in the reported cases. It happens, but people have lost faith that if they report something, something will happen. So we firstly need to see an uptick in our communities where they are rolled out. Then we need to start seeing that the withdrawal of the cases decrease, because in some areas you see up to 90% of the cases being withdrawn. That needs to stop. And then, together with the SAPs, the NPA, we need to make sure that there's consequences for the perpetrators. And if we do that, if there's a start to see that there's consequences for your actions, we will hopefully deter more people. That's now the stick, and then there's the carrot where we have our family programs with the young boys, young girls. So that's all of some of the programs that we are doing, but that's just giving you a bit of a view on that.
Yeah, it's so important to have a whole of society approach, because not only one department can fight the scourge of gender-based violence and femicide. Now we know we have an issue with safe spaces. Can you tell us a little bit about the work you do for shelters to make sure that women have a safe place to go to if they are not safe at home?
Again, this is where I am. You cry and you smile at the same time, because we have so many gender-based violence, safe spaces, shelters. We're another one in Caledon. End of this month, we are partnering with them as a department. But I want to use one example in the West Coast where they do the individual work with the victims, they do the group work as well, but also then there's volunteers, and that's where I really want to encourage people to also step up, as our Premier have said, and volunteer your time at these spaces, because then they go and they equip the woman to do a CV, do an interview. They walk with the woman to go give in the CVs. There's even some amazing businesses that say, you know what, I'm only going to look after women that are victims of gender-based violence. There's even some places that provide accommodation where they can get away from the perpetrator, because quite often the women are economically dependent, and that is also why we try and create that pathway so you don't have to fall back into the situation you come from.
You know, Jaco, not only women and children face gender-based violence and femicide, but members of the LGBTIQA community also face horrific violence and gender-based violence. Can you tell us about some of the work you're doing to protect that vulnerable group? And, if I may, when are we getting an LGBT shelter?
So we have shelters that look after everybody. So I mean, but you're stating that we need to expand our footprint. We also recently launched the Cape Care Fund, where we try and NGOs that do the work, we get a business plan together and we go and pitch that, so that we can then make sure that the funding that we spend to support the NGOs that do the services in that space. Triangle is one of the organizations that DSD fund, and what we then need to do is make sure that we strengthen them. We need to make sure that there's not a duplication of services. One thing that we're incredibly proud of, and this is now a bit of a shot fired, we don't send any money back to the national government. We make sure we pay our NGOs every time, on time. But that also creates trust, so that people know that the funding they spend in this space, and whether it goes to people from the LGBTQI community, whether it's gender-based violence victims, whether it's the elderly, whether it's children, whether it's those with disabilities, whether it's those that's struggling with substance abuse, all of those, we are working in that space. And my plea to you is also go work with trusted organizations. We established that platform now in the Cape Care Fund. So if you want to help, please just take the decision, step up and help.
Thank you, Jaco, for your service, and thank you for the things you do for the people of this country and of the Western Cape. And thank you for joining our broadcast. come rain, come shine, come any weather, the Democratic Alliance will be outside marching for you and marching for justice, marching for safety, and marching for dignity. Like I said, when we come back, we will go straight to the stage program where we will be hearing from different DA leaders on what exactly the plans are and the solutions are from the Democratic Alliance. Like I said, we will march no matter what comes, what may. We'll be right back.
Government of the Western Cape. And what I want to say is that rape and gender-based violence is a crime. It is really important that you look at it in that way and report any crime that you can. If you feel unsafe, you can come to us. We do have GBV ambassadors. They're all part of our neighborhood watches. They're part of our communities in blue, and they look out for everything in the communities, especially for our women. I must say that we do have a DNA backlog, and that is very, very concerning to me and for our department, and for specifically for me as the Minister of Safety in a province. I've asked the National Minister to look into this and speed up all the DNA tests. And that's why we call for the devolution of power, so that we can have more policemen, more criminal intelligence, of crime intelligence on municipal as well as provincial level. So what I want to say today is, if there's any one of you that feel unsafe, you can contact me, you can contact the ambassadors in the community, and please look after yourself, look after each other, and I love you all so much. Thank you. Thank you.
Halala, Andrew, halala. 4-2, Andrew, 4-2. Wathinta bafazi, wathinta imbokodo. Democrats, this fight alone, for thina singabantu abafazi, is not enough. We need allies alongside the road. We need people we can depend on in government, because vele, that is the basis of why we're in politics, mos. Asifuni ukulwa alone. We want to make sure uba umntu xa simthuma uyathumeka. To make sure uba abantwana xa singonina sithi mabahambe baye esikolweni pha bakhuselekile. Uba banominister obahoyileyo, a minister who cares, a minister who loves, a minister who sees them, and a minister who protects them. Now I'm going to hand over to the National Minister of Basic Education, uSiviwe Kwagube Wushaka Sisithi halala wusha halala.
Can I take this mic off the thing? Can I take it off?
Abamazio, abazangeba.
To come and celebrate with you in Women's Day. Amama Banga 1956, they marched on the streets. When a black, when a white, when a Indian, when a colored, they held hands and they said, Siyaya, Union Building Siyaya. Bathi siyangena, Union Building siyangena. Bathi siyolwela amalungelo abafazi. And so, as we gather here today in this rain, in this community, it's not a mistake. It's not a mistake that silapha sizokuthi ngokuhlukunyezwa kwabafazi phansi. Phansi ngokuhlukunyezwa kwabafazi phansi. Sizokuthi to the criminals who think that they can walk free in the streets. Asifuna uhlala nabantu abasidlwengulayo thina. Abantu abasidlwengulayo mabangene etrongweni. People who abuse us must go to the cells. People who abuse us must be prosecuted. Sithi ku-acting minister of police asifuni arrest nje, sifuna abantu banjonge ejele. Sithi ku-acting minister of police 140,000 backlogs of DNA ezihlele emapoliseni. He needs to make sure as he steps into this role that he comes in and he deals with this. Because kaloku Democrats, why is DNA important? Because kaloku DNA is the evidence that is needed to put people in jail. So that is why that DNA backlog maisuswe. Isuse Minister Kachalia isuse. Isuse Minister Kachalia isuse. Sithi silapha nje sizothi kuye into yobana asizuyeka. Asizuyeka until women and children in our communities are feeling safe. Siyabulela i-City of Cape Town ne-provincial government nge-contribution yabo that they've made with LEAP officers. But abazukwazi ukwenza this work on their own. They need amapolisa to do their job. The City of Cape Town and the province cannot do this work on their own. And so while the province has said, bangabanisniki imali, sawufaka i-LEAP officers, but amapolisa wona mawenza umsebenzi wabo. Mabababamba abantu abasidlwengulayo. Mabababamba abantu abasibulalayo. Because we're not going to keep having this conversation. We're not going to keep marching like this and demanding dignity and justice. It is not fair. Because kaloku singomama, singosisi, singamakhosikazi, singabantwana. And that's why in my department, colleagues, siyaqinisekisa into yobana abantwana mabafike esikolweni bafumane iskola transport. Siyaqinisekisa into yobana ootishara babatitshaye abantwana ayingobadlwenguli. Siyaqinisekisa into yoba ootishara nabantu abaphangela esikolweni ayingobantu abadlwengula abantwana. Abantwana bethu mababe safe ezikolweni zethu. And so on the 29th of May, the people of South Africa sent us a message. They said, Ndoba siyanithuma, go to the union buildings and make change. And sizothi kuni ndobana sithumekile Democrats. Nisithumile siyile Democrats. Singenile Democrats, singenile. Singenile Democrats, singenile. And now is the time to serve you. All the promises that we made to the people of South Africa, now is the time to do it. Viva DA, viva! Pagama mfazi, pagama! Ngena Tasha singena! Pagama DA, pagama!
Hoi hoi, kwa khube, hoi hoi! Halala, siviwe halala! Wathinta bafazi! Wathinta Bogoto! Halala, DA, halala! Viva DA, viva! Amandla! Awethu! Democrats, we have one last speaker. Bendichila ubana oluhambo sodwa is not enough. Sidinga amadoda akwazi uhamba nathi bathi nabo abayayonyanya lento ezekayo. We need men who are committed to dispelling all sorts of stereotypes against women, dismantling patriarchy, dismantling konke okukubi okwenzakalayo emphakathini yethu. We need men who are able to say, when another man rapes and kills a woman or a child, amothwele kamathathi kha irongo lonto yenzayo. Azokwazi bangene na kwiparlament akene kurhulumente imali xa inikiwe akayispende kakuhle ukwenza isiqiniseko sobana siyalunga sonke. I've spoken enough Xhosa for the day. Generally ke Mosotho. I'm now going to hand over to Tata Tesha Simmons, who's going to give us the last address of the day. Tesha
Thank you. Aman! Amandla! Awethu! Colleagues, firstly, let me thank each and every man and woman who are still standing here in this rain. But let us remember, there are thousands of women who are being victimized, who are being raped, who are being abused, who cry every day. So it's quite symbolic that we are standing here in the rain again, in front of an institution that are actually failing our women, but not ensuring effective prosecution. But my message is now to our men. Our women cannot be in this fight alone. They need our support. They need our help. They need our help in their homes, on the street, in our communities, and we must stand together. You cannot call yourself a man if you are abusing a woman. You cannot call yourself a man if you are allowing your neighbor to abuse his woman. You cannot call yourself a man if you are living in a community when we are seeing abuse and we are doing nothing and we are saying nothing. We have all the laws, but the laws cannot be successful. We have insufficient police. We know they are not successful. But if we stand together as a community, each and every one of us, with our men, with our women, we can break the scourge of gender-based violence. So please, men, stand with our women. For those of us who have little boys, let's teach them. Masculinity does not mean if you cry, you are weak. You are strong if you feel the pain of a woman. You are strong if you feel the pain, what's happening in our community. So men, step up, take ownership, be present, and let's fight the scourge with our women. Amandla! Awethu! Men, move forward. Now the men are quiet. Thank you.
Forward, DA, forward. So we've stood in the rain, eh? We've shown everybody that when we say Phansi with GBV, we mean it. So we're not going to leave just with a speech. Sizawucula, sizawumakala, sizawuraza basive ngaphakathi ubana sithini. Ndifuna iculo elishushu. Ndizawubuza kuni quickly. If awundixeleli ndizalicula mna. Tololo, uvalo, tololo, uvalo, tololo. Uvalo, tololo, uvalo, tololo, uvalo, tololo.
Thanks for watching. Join the mission to rescue South Africa. Like and follow us on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and X. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit that notification bell. Join the DA, because the DA gets things done.